This is the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour.
Supported by Albertsons
And
Omni Hotels and Resorts.
brought to you by
Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. It's Miller time. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. Choose VA. Veterans get the benefits you've earned. Visit choose.va.gov. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Now, your hosts, Shannon Gross and Brad Sham.
And welcome, everyone, to this week's Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. We're virtual again, and not only that, but I will be playing the role of Shannon Gross this evening. Also, Shannon has been assigned to home health care duty for a few days, and it is our sad responsibility that this show, like last week and the next 2 weeks, to finish the run of the season, will be virtual because of the NFL's COVID policies. So we look forward to welcoming all of you back live, whether we're at Ford Center at the Star or wherever we might be next year. But we are delighted to have you with us wherever you're listening on the Dallas Cowboys radio network and streaming whenever during the week you are doing so on DallasCowboys.com. Howdy. And that other big face in your camera right there who cannot see us, so he wins, is the future Hall of Famer and the seven-time Pro Bowler, number 70, Zack Martin. Thank you ever so much for your time this evening.
Thanks for having me.
And this, all of you will be able to tell because the nature of the telecommunications is such that this is going to be like every network newscast you've seen for the last 2 years. There's about a 2-second delay between one person's finishing a statement and the other person's response or next statement. So bear with us. We're grateful to have all of you with us on Victory Monday in Shannon Gross's honor. It's Victory Monday, yeah. And but it is Victory Monday. I mean, that was so. People ask me all the time, Zack, boy, wasn't that a fun game to broadcast? And the truth is, I tell them that every game is fun to broadcast. Some of them are a little more work, but they're all fun to broadcast. And you know you've only got X number of years to play football. So I'm sure even the games that you hate, you enjoy the fact that you get to play in them. But having said that, what's that like when one goes like that last night? Because they don't go like that very often.
No, they don't. It was great. We talked about it kind of the night before the game of having a game. We really haven't played a game where all three phases have played together and gone out and had a complete game. So that was kind of our big message this week. And to kind of put it together and have all three phases really contribute and have that team win. It is nice to go out to be on the sidelines watching some of the guys who don't normally get to play get out there and get some snaps.
Now, you understand that everyone now expects you to play like that every week.
Right, yeah, of course.
So are you all
but the standards are high, the expectations. What's that?
Are you all prepared to live up to that now?
Yeah, I think we've talked about we started the season, I'm talking offensively here, really hot, and then we had a couple weeks there where we weren't playing as consistently, as we're capable of. And I think, we've talked about over the last few weeks, if we can just keep getting better each week and kind of hit this thing at our peak when the playoffs start, that's kind of our goal. So we're just trying to get better each week and hit our potential there when it matters most.
So let's, since you've introduced the subject of how the offense has been playing and played last night, let's delve into that just for a moment, because when people say to me, or they offer their opinions about what's wrong with the offense, that's what happens most of the time, or they ask what's wrong, my answer is usually, look, these things are like a Swiss watch. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's not like anybody's playing terrible. Yep. There's just if a play hits here, if you don't get a flag there or a drop there or you get a block over there, then the whole game might turn around. But it doesn't just happen. It takes a little bit of time. So does it feel like it felt a little bit, and I think the whole thing's about rhythm and tempo. Does the rhythm feel last night, did it feel like a little bit more like the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season?
I think so, and I think you saw last night. We were on the ball a lot. We were running plays with a lot of time on the play clock, just kind of smooth right down the field. And I think you hit on a good point there, Brad. When it's not going your way on offense, especially that skid we had, you always think, God, we're not playing very well. And you watch the tape, and it's never as bad and it's never as good as you think. So, we were not very productive there for a few weeks. But you watch the tape, and you could tell we're close. We're a few plays here and there, a few blocks here and there. So I think everyone on offense knows what we're capable of. And, I think the last couple of weeks we've kind of been taking those steps to get back to that, that high-power offense that we saw early in the year.
So there's a couple of things that occur to me coming off of that. One is I'll ask you a question that Babe Laufenberg asked me before we went on the air last night. And then I asked Mike McCarthy on his pregame segment, and I'll tell you afterward what he said. But the question Babe asked me was, can you I'll say fix. I think that's a little bit of an overreach, but can you get better against an overmanned team that might be inferior in personnel and is at a definite disadvantage? I mean, Washington was at a definite disadvantage. They had a lot of people out. They had played on Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. You guys have been through the same thing. So the question is, can you do what you did last night and have it not be fool's gold? Can you really get better? So what's your thought about that?
I think 100% you can. I mean, so much of this thing, I think what people got to realize late in the season, it's all about confidence and momentum. So, obviously they had some guys out. We had a couple guys out, but just that confidence and momentum you get from that playing as a team for 4 quarters like that carries over. And you can build off of that, no question.
So the other thing that I've been thinking about in the last few weeks that I hadn't really put a lot of thought into before is, your head coach makes a big point of talking about December football, and it's something that he really points to, has his whole head coaching career. So the public wants to see the offense that you were putting on the field in September and half of October. And it has occurred to me, and I'm posing this to you to ask your thoughts. Is that even reasonable? Because everything's different by the time you get to December. Everybody's got tape on stuff. There have been injuries. Teams are just different in December than they were in September. That's A. And then B is when your defense is playing the way your defense is now, would it be wrong to say you don't have to have 500 yards a game? You don't have to score 40 points a game. You just have to be good enough to supplement the way your defense is playing. Is that a fair statement?
Obviously our defense has been playing lights out, and it's been huge for us. Now, I think, the competitive side of us, the guys that we have on offense, we want to be a group that our team can count on and know they go out there and make a play, throughout the game and kind of take us to that next level. So that's what we're working to. We're working on getting there, and then obviously our defense, like I said, have been playing lights out, and I know those guys too. They're going to keep going. So if we can mesh those two together, I think we're going to be a dangerous team here come late in the season.
Do you, when the defense is on the field? I mean, I know you got to catch your breath. You got to listen to Philbin and Blasco and figure out who's doing what and talk about that guy who's been giving you a little problem. But do you get a chance to sit back and look at some of the individual plays that your defense has been making and go, holy cow, where'd they come from?
Yeah, no, we had, especially lately. I think Coach Philbin probably wasn't, last night. I think he's catching us watching the Jumbotron the whole time we're on the sideline because, like you said, they're making, huge play after huge play, turnovers. DeMarcus gets the pick 6, running around like a running back. I mean, you're locked in. I mean, obviously you're making adjustments and all that, but you want to watch those guys go out there and do what they do best.
Okay, Connor McGovern was supposed to be the target in New Jersey. They respected his athleticism and covered him, took him away. They could not contain Steele last night. What about the rest of you? When do you guys get a chance?
I think some guys, Tyron, there's been plays in there for Tyron we haven't called, and everyone's kind of getting everyone kind of wanted their shot, but Terrence, I'd say Terrence is one of the more athletic guys of the bunch, so he went out there and got it done for us.
It'd be harder for you, right? I mean, it'd be harder to hide you moving you out of right guard.
Yeah, I think it's more of a tackle jumbo tight end type deal, which is fine.
But now Tyron can't be pleased about having things in that he's practiced during the week, and then come on, let's. If I'm going to do it, let's go. Come on, let's go. 8 Pro Bowls, let's go.
Yeah. Well, Terrence took his thunder last night, so I'm sure Tyron will be hearing some of that here in the next week or so.
All right, we're gonna take a break, and I would like to talk a little bit about a whole bunch of things because we got 45 minutes left to share our deepest thoughts and feelings. And we are delighted to have you with us on the Miller Lite Cowboy Hour, Zack Martin. We'll also talk a little bit about the virtual world, which I know all of you thought you had put in your rearview mirror after last year. Surprise! Not so much. So take a deep breath, sit back. Thank you very much for being with us. Zack Martin, our guest on the Cowboy Hour tonight, and we are brought to you in part by Albertsons. When it comes time to shop for tailgate favorites, go to Albertsons and Tom Thumb. Get 10% off your groceries every Dallas Cowboys game day when you wear your Cowboys jersey. Albertsons and Tom Thumb, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. And we're also brought to you in part by Lou Casey, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. We'll be back with Zack Martin in just a moment on the Cowboys Hour.
Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons and Omni Hotels and Resorts.
Welcome back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. I'm Brad Sham. Shannon Gross is on home health care duty this week. We are virtual for the rest of the season on this program because of the NFL's COVID protocols, which is why if you are listening to us on the radio, you are hearing a little gap between me and our special guest, all-star guard Zack Martin. And if you are watching on DallasCowboys.com, streaming at any time during the week, you see us in separate boxes, and you'll still hear the little gap between voice because that's the technology. But here we are. This is what it is. Zack, it feels like they're handling it a little better than last year, but it's also a completely different problem. Did you guys think you were done with all this? I know you got a little reminder back in September that you weren't done with it, but did you think that you were done with it all? And how are you as players, let alone people with families? How are you adjusting to another year of this?
Yeah, I think when we went into training camp, it kind of felt like we were getting over this because we were back in Oxnard. We had fans out of practice in California. Started the season no problem. So it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of coming to an end. And then obviously, within the last month or something, it's really picked back up. So we're back into that virtual world that we've been in last year a little bit. So. All things we're used to and that you just got to adjust to. But, I think the coaches and our staff have handled it really well these last couple of weeks when we've had to go back to virtual. And I think it being the second year of kind of going through this, it's a lot smoother than it was last year.
I'm going to ask you to take people behind the curtain a little bit because everyone has had their own experience with the virtual world, working from home, what have you. Obviously, you guys aren't completely working from home because you can practice and you can play the games. But what does it mean for you to shift into virtual meetings? What does your week look like now?
Yeah, so we're basically we're only in the building to either lift, work out, or to practice. So, a normal day would be like Wednesday, for example. We'll go in, we'll work out early in the morning. We'll have different lifting groups where they stagger how many guys can be in there. So you'll go lift, and then you'll go back home, meet for a few hours virtually at your house. Then, there's about an hour travel time to get back into the facility, get ready for practice, go out on the field, get the practice in, have a little break to get back home to go virtual meetings there for the afternoon. But it's really about the same schedules we would have if we came into the building. It's just guys are traveling back and forth to go home to meet virtually on their iPads.
Now I'm going to use the offensive line as the example for this because that's what you play, but it could be any position group. So let's say you are meeting in the offensive line room under normal circumstances. And Coach Philbin has got maybe he's got the lights turned off so you can see the video and the PowerPoints and all the things. And I've never been in one of those meetings, but I've been told every now and then a guy might nod off. Something might happen. A guy might kind of just lose his concentration, and suddenly there's heavy breathing next to you. You gotta poke the guy, and hope it's not you being poked.
It's been known to happen.
Okay, I've heard. Now, the coach doesn't always know that that's going on. If the lights are off and he's looking at the screen, and you gotta kind of take care of yourself. But now, if you're all at home, he's got to monitor you. No one's there to poke you. And how do guys maintain their focus and really pay attention in that situation?
Yeah, I think really the only difference, they'll have a camera set up in our meeting room on our big projector screen there, and we'll run it just like a normal meeting. You'll have, obviously your camera on, so your face is on the screen. So I think they got a big board there that can see everyone's faces, and it's run like pretty much a normal meeting. We're watching tape. They're drawing on the board, making, adjustments throughout the week, asking us questions. So, it's obviously not the same as being in there because, obviously being in person, you get some, the extra banter and kind of communication like that. But like I said, I think all the coaches and guys have really adjusted well this season. And it's definitely gone a lot smoother as far as the meetings and the interaction and getting a ton out of what we can going virtually.
That banter, I don't think that people who have never played and don't have the shared experience that you guys do. I never played, but I was in the military, and I've often said that I think that the military is the only experience that can come to mind for me that can simulate the bond that you guys have, shared sacrifice. Sometimes you hate the drill sergeant. Sometimes he's your common enemy. But there are things that you share. Walking out of the room, just talking to each other, that creates the kind of bonding that allows you to be selflessly there for each other when the game comes. How much of that do you miss?
Yeah, that's probably definitely what you miss the most. We're with each other for basically 8-10 hours a day every day, and you have those relationships and you're spending so much time, like you said, you're going through, all the stuff that sucks to accomplish a common goal. So, we get to go in there and go to practice and still have that time in the locker room, but just a little kind of in meeting stuff, going from meeting to meeting, seeing all the different position groups. That's definitely the thing you miss when you're at home going virtually.
Let's talk about it. I'd like to have you talk about a couple of the guys in your offensive line room. One of them you and I had a very brief conversation about the other day. But I am fascinated by the year that Connor Williams has had and is having. I think everybody understands the reason that he was taken out of the lineup for a while. But maybe some people don't understand because the perception is that he wasn't playing well. And I don't know if that's true. He was getting a lot of penalties, and we all know how subjective penalties can be. After a while, then, you worry about a guy becoming a target, and that gets into his head before. But can you just talk about how well he was playing? And not only has he not had a penalty in the last 2 games, but I hate to say, I think you're running better. There's a lot of reasons for that.
Yeah, I think Connor's I think you hit the nail on the head. I think people on the outside see the penalties and get frustrated, but when you really watch the tape and break it down, he was playing at a high level, and obviously, like you said, I don't know if he was a target or whatnot, but it just looked like the officials were that's the guy they were looking at. So. Obviously he was out for a few games, but I think since he's been back, and really credit to him, because I think so many times, our sport's very competitive, and sometimes when guys are kind of passed over like that, they check out, and that's something that Connor never did. He came to work every day, prepared like a starter, stayed locked in. And I think deep down he knew that his opportunities would come again, and they did, and he's taken it and run with it. So he's done an excellent job since he's been back in, playing extremely hard, just kind of exactly like he was playing before. We just haven't, no penalties the last couple of games. So I'm super happy for Connor, and I see all the work that he's put into it throughout the offseason. Obviously last year being the only guy to go through the whole season there on the line, and so he's put a ton of work into it, and he really deserves it. I'm happy to see him playing so well.
There's an element to offensive line play that I think a lot of casual fans miss. And every really, really good team that I've been around, you have to have great agility, balance, leverage, intelligence, all of that. Somewhere on that line, if it's a really, really good team, there's 1 or 2 guys who are the dirty backbone of the whole thing. They're the ones who will go through the whistle. Yep. They're the ones who bring a nasty level and help the whole group set the tempo, and it doesn't mean that everybody else doesn't have some of that, but that was Eric Williams in the 90s before he got hurt. That was Mark Colombo. I think that it's Lyle Collins a little bit right now on this team. Not that you can't be nasty, just as sweet and lovely as you seem to be. Not that Tyron isn't scary as the day is long. I think Lyle's got a little of that, and you are beginning to convince me that Connor Williams might have a little of that in him too. Please expound.
Absolutely, and I think, absolutely. I think, Connor brings that. He's so invested in it, and he cares so much about it. He brings that extra little edge when he's out there. He plays extremely hard. He plays fast. Like you said, he plays a little nasty. So I think that continuity too has been something that's been great. Not saying that Connor McGovern didn't do a nice job, and obviously McGovern's been a huge part of our team this year, and all the different ways we've used him. I think that continuity with Connor Williams out there has been, just very consistent, and I think you've seen that over the last couple of weeks.
All right, let's talk about Connor McGovern, because I don't know what gave Kellen Moore the idea to trot him out at fullback, and maybe there was something about LC when he wasn't playing that made him particularly a fit for the big, what did he call it? The Hulk package? Is that what you guys called it? The Hulk package?
The Hulk package. Yeah. Yep.
But we're not going to see. We're probably not going to see that. But the Mac package, as I understand we call it, is that Connor McGovern is so good at that. And you and I had this conversation the other day, but I kind of can envision going into the playoffs and he can just be a guard playing fullback. Nobody's got that. And he brings the offensive lineman's mentality and in combination blocks and all that stuff. What a weapon.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, McGovern did such a great job last year coming in and playing for me when I was out, and really had a really good training camp, and, really earned the right to kind of get to be out on the field. And, so I think Kellen and those guys did a great job of finding different ways to use them. And, that has been a huge package for us. And I think he's really natural at that kind of fullback position, kind of finding his way through the hole, attacking guys, kind of almost being like a third guard in there on some of the plays that we've been running with them. So it's been a great addition to our offense. And, it's been probably one of our more productive packages that we've had this year.
And I don't want to be presumptuous, and not that you'd tell me anyway, to ask about schemes and plans and things, but would it be wrong to envision that as you go into the postseason that we could see that used in a bigger, different way than has been the case so far?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they have planned, but like I said, the film doesn't lie about it. It really has been one of our most, especially in the run game, one of our most productive formation packages. So I know those guys are going to keep finding ways to use them and to help our offense.
Okay, let's take another break. We're going to come back and talk about the Pro Bowl and some other stuff. Zack Martin's our guest, virtually. He really is our guest. He's not virtually our guest, but he's with us virtually because we're in a virtual format on the Cowboys Hour. We'll be right back.
Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons and Omni Hotels and Resorts.
And welcome back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. We are virtual tonight and will be for our final two programs of the year, the next 2 weeks. I'm Brad Sham. Shannon Gross is on home health care duty. Special guest this evening, Cowboys seven-time Pro Bowler? 6 times? 7 times?
7.
7 times. Okay. I'm sending you, as you well know, I've already sent you to Canton. So 7-time Pro Bowler, Zack Martin, our guest. And you don't know what you've missed, Zack, by Shannon not being here, because one of the staples of this program has become Shannon's Miller Lite moment of the show, which is where he does a deep dive into the guest's Wikipedia page. And when we were live with an audience, every time there was an error, it's sponsored by Miller Lite. So Shannon would take a hit of Miller Lite, and then he would start making mistakes on purpose so he could drink a little more Miller Lite. But we look forward to reintroducing the Miller Lite moment in the Wikipedia page. I didn't do that. I didn't feel like I wanted to do that with you because I don't have any Miller Lite here, frankly. I have to wait till I get home for that. I tease you, but I'm not teasing about the honors. You were asked a lot about making the Pro Bowl again. I know it's not what you're thinking about. I know, and that's another thing that I do want to get into. But you did have the injuries that kept you out of it last year. And so congratulations on making it again. And what does that mean to you? Where does it fit in your galaxy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge honor. And I think every year, obviously, we've got team goals, but, every year you come in with your individual goals. And, I think I have a standard for myself on how I want to play and how I think I'm capable of playing. And, obviously had some ups and downs last year. Missed some significant time for the first time in my career, and I really want to make a point to come back and just be that same guy, be the guy that everyone can count on to be consistent week in and week out, and get back to playing at that high level. So big honor for me again, but I worked hard to get back to this, and I just keep trying to take my game to that next level.
When you missed the first week. And some of your teammates were asked about, okay, what will you be missing in Zack? And Zeke Elliott didn't even hesitate by saying something that, frankly, I agree with, which is Zeke said, "Well, Zack's our best football player, so we're really going to have to work to get around missing him." How important to you is that kind of affirmation from your teammates?
I mean, yeah, I think especially coming from Zeke, who I think so highly of as a person and a player and a competitor, it means a lot. And it was tough. I think especially coming off of missing those last 5 or 6 games last year, not being able to be out there on that opening night, especially down in Tampa versus the defending champs, and be with my teammates. But I think as we've seen throughout this whole year, every team's going through all the different COVID stuff. So it's just part of what we're dealing with right now is, really across the world. And, I was back in the next week and obviously it felt great when I was able to get back out there with my team.
Now, I'm not kidding about the Hall of Fame. I know that we had a little running joke for a couple of years, the beginning of your career, when I would ask you about playing tackle. And then last year you went out and played tackle as soon as I quit asking you about it. But that I was kind of kidding about that. Just not my fault. You're a versatile athlete and you can do more than one thing. Don't shoot the messenger. But I'm not kidding about the Hall of Fame. You're all decade. You're a 7-time Pro Bowler. If you're healthy, you're going to continue to make them. And I really believe that you're a Hall of Fame player. What does that mean to you? Where is that in your galaxy?
I mean, look, I'd be lying to you if I said I've never thought about it before. Obviously, I think as you start your career, at least for me, that was never like I didn't come into the NFL and say, I want to be this or that. Obviously I had expectations for myself, but I didn't come in saying I think I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. And, obviously I think I still have some ways to go there. But, over the years, it's definitely something that kind of pops up in your mind. And it is a goal you set out for yourself. And, I think at this point in my career, obviously winning the whole thing is number one. But, continuing to take my game up each year and stay at that consistent level to maybe have a shot there one day, it's definitely a goal.
So let's talk about taking your game up each year. You're probably, I'm going to guess you're your own harshest critic. Most great players are.
Yep.
So do you still have things you think you need to do better, or is your biggest challenge now to stay at the level you've attained?
Well, I think that's the best part about football, and especially offensive line play. And I think that's where, some people don't always know how detailed and how many things there are to work on at our specific position. So that's the thing that excites me is I'll go out there during a practice and, I'll find a little something, whether it be something in my stance or my first step or just little things where, I think that's helped me. And really, quite frankly, over the last couple of years, I think with Coach Philbin and Coach Blasco, I have kind of taken a few steps and figured out some new things that have really helped my game. And so, yeah, I think it's a never-ending chase to be the best you can, and especially what we do on the offensive line. There's so many things you can work on. That's really what makes it fun.
Can you tell people who have never played what some of those things are that they've helped you get better at?
Yeah, I think just looking at the game, obviously, just a small thing. Training camp this year, Coach Philbin, I've had success in this league. I've been around for a while, and he's helped me. He's given me pointers on different things in my stance and how it can make me more efficient in my movements. And, even stuff like that has made a huge difference in my opinion. And, when you find those things that you can tweak that can help you, then it's about applying it and doing it over and over and over again. That's also something about the offensive line position is it's something that you can't, in my opinion, you can't get good at unless you're constantly taking reps and reps and reps at it. So, that's been fun. And I think, Coach Philbin and Coach Blasco, they're very good at giving that consistent message, and you hear it every single day. So it's just great reminders that those little things, those add up. And for me, late in my career, I think that's really helped me is just continue to grind on those little details that really, people always have opinions on blocking, different ways to block people, but it's pretty basic. And I think when you go and you rep those basic fundamentals over and over and over again, that's when you get good at it. Don't
say late in your career. I rather think of you as being just maybe slightly past the midpoint. I'm not done with you yet.
Okay, yeah, there you go. I'm not done yet.
All right, good. And I don't want to short Jeff Blasco, who I think is a really, really good, intelligent young coach, but I do want to talk about Joe Philbin a minute, because I think that the relationship between offensive linemen and the offensive line coach is almost unique. Every position group might say that. I happen to think it's really unique among offensive linemen. I remember when Mark Stepnoski, who was a tremendous player, left here as a free agent and went to the Oilers/Titans and then came back. And I remember asking him, what do you look for as a free agent? What do you look for? Because people think it's money, and maybe it's the city and the weather and the head coach. And he said, well, it's the strength coach and it's your position coach that because the money's going to be what the money's going to be. Yep. And so those two things, he said to me, are really critical, which was an eye-opener. So who was your rookie O-line coach? Was it Callahan?
Bill Callahan.
Bill Callahan, and then after Bill,
Frank Pollock,
and then pretty quickly it was Colombo. Paul Alexander was in there for just a part of a year.
Paul Alexander, and then it was Colombo, and then now Coach Phil.
And now
so
Phil.
Five offensive
So,
line.
and Philbin's a guy who are not in the sport don't pay attention to lifer coaches. You know, Philbin's been a head coach, but he's been around a very long time. What's he bring different, completely different personality than Colombo, for goodness sake, and Alexander? And what have you gotten from some of these guys that stick with you?
Yeah, I think I've taken something from all those guys throughout my career. But I think, just speaking on Coach Philbin, I mean, as far as a technical standpoint, what he teaches and kind of his coaching tree, his offensive line coaching tree that he comes from is what I came from college. My college line coach came from the same coaching tree as Coach Philbin. So we're doing a lot of those same things. Really, a lot of basically the same exact drills I did through college we're doing now. Same kind of philosophy, same technique. So it's kind of been fun to go back to that. I mean, offensive line blocking, a lot of it is similar, but just kind of that philosophy of offensive line teaching, to go back to that, what I had, my last couple of years at Notre Dame has been really fun.
Zack Martin's our guest. By the way, how often do you talk to Travis? A lot of people thought you'd dry up and blow away when Travis Frederick retired.
Yeah, I talk to Travis each week. I get a pregame text from him every week. He sent me a nice text after the game last night. He came down to a game earlier this year, stayed at my house, so we stay in touch quite a bit.
Yeah, he was an original. I still miss him. I would say tell him that I miss him, but I'll tell him myself. I'll text him and tell him myself. Zack Martin is our guest this evening on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. We're brought to you in part by Omni at the Omni Frisco Hotel. Kick off your stay at the official hotel of the Dallas Cowboys with style. Cool off in the elevated pool, savor upscale comfort food at Neighborhood Services, and enjoy all the dining and and entertainment options the Star has to offer. Visit omnihotels.com/Frisco to learn more and turn the next home game into a weekend getaway. Zack Martin's our guest. A few more minutes with number 70 when we come back on the Cowboys Hour.
Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons and Omni Hotels and Resorts.
Welcome back to the Cowboys Hour. Brad Sham and our special guest, Zack Martin. Shannon Gross, we hope, will be back from home healthcare duty next week. Missing you, Shannon, if you are listening. And if you're not listening, we're still missing you. So, home and road. Really interesting. You guys just went on the road, 3 wins on the road. A lot of people wanted to throw them back because they weren't pretty enough, but they all went in the left-hand column. And then yesterday was a great shiny object, a bright new ornament on the Christmas tree. Now here comes a really good team this week who has completely flipped that script. They're 10-5. They're 6-1 on the road, which is bizarre to me. I don't get that. What do you make of that? And what do you make of home and road difference? How does it influence players and games?
Yeah, I can remember, I think it was my rookie year in 2014. I think we were 8-0 on the road and 4-4 at home that year. I don't know, for whatever reason, I think teams, take on that mentality when you go on the road. It's kind of us versus the world. And they go out and they play, they use that opposing crowd in their advantage. And, I think that's kind of our bet. Whenever we play our best on the road, it's kind of that mentality of, hey, it's us versus the world, and these guys hate us, and it's going to be loud. But, that satisfaction of going out there and executing and playing well against, a hostile environment is pretty cool. But, as far as for us, last night, the crowd was unbelievable last night. I think guys, even in pregame, kind of felt that energy. When we came out an hour before the game, there was a ton of people already in the stands. It was really loud, and I think that energy definitely kind of went across the locker room when we came back in for that 10 minutes before we ran out for kickoff. So, we had a great crowd, and hopefully we can keep that up next week and then into the playoffs.
Okay, so the playoffs, which we're now allowed to discuss because you've won 10 games, you made the playoffs. That's Mike's like benchmark. You can't talk about it until you've done those things. Now you're in the playoffs. And these 2 games that you have left are important, and they're going to matter. They're not just going to count; they're going to matter.
Yep.
But you're not the only player on this team, and you hear it more and more. I think you hear it a lot from the defensive guys, but especially from the veteran guys. You hear it not just defense. You hear it from Dak. You hear it from Zeke. You hear a lot about why you're playing this year. And the hat and the shirt you got last night are great, but that's not why you're playing. But Jason Garrett said that to you every time. We all saw the videos. Enjoy the hat and the shirt tonight, and tomorrow give them away, because this isn't why you're playing. What's different now? You're in year 8. Tyron's down the road a little bit. What's different now? What's the sense of urgency?
Yeah, I think guys are obviously they see this opportunity we have in front of us, and I think as one of the older guys on the team, the message is, we got to take advantage of these opportunities when we have them, because I know when I came into the NFL in 2014, we went 12-4, made it to the divisional round, and I kind of was like, oh man, we're pretty good. This is kind of how it's going to be, and we're going to be here every year, have a shot to go to the NFC Championship, Super Bowl, and the next year we get hit in the face and we're 4-12. So, and then only been back to the playoffs twice before this year. So, the opportunities, you got to take advantage of them when you have them, because I know the guys on the team know how hard it is to win, especially late in the season. So, when you're younger, you're always kind of like, oh yeah, whatever. But it is the truth. So I think the sense of urgency is high, and I think guys understand, the opportunity that we have in front of us.
Where's the line between urgency and desperation?
I look at it this way. Last week, this week, obviously our next 2 games, like you said before, these games always obviously count, but they really do matter. So kind of taking I think we've taken kind of that playoff approach over the last couple of weeks, and we know how important it is to win. So I think the urgency is high. Definitely, I don't think desperation. There's no desperation in our room. I think we're a confident bunch that know what we're capable of, and I think the mindset is right in our locker room to go on and finish out the season strong, heading into the postseason.
You played with a guy in Jason Witten who had another guy who had a Hall of Fame career who never got any further than you've been in a season.
Yep.
And I know that really is the reason, especially when you've been a few years. That's the reason that you all play. Do you embrace the opportunity more than you feel compelled to remember how difficult it is? I don't know if I'm asking that very artfully, but there's a fine line between it being a positive incentive and almost a negative burden, it seems to me. And I ask that because your whole organization is paying really important attention to mental health and attitude and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Can you ask that again?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can look at where you've been and what you haven't done and how frustrating it can be. And you can look at Witten, you can look at Sean Lee, a couple of guys you were close to, and say, geez, look what they did, look at the price they paid, and they never got, and now, so here we are, and we're good. Dadgummit, we're good, and we know we're good. But the young guys think that, like you did as a rookie, we're good, we know we're good, and you know what, that doesn't mean anything. You got to be good, and then you got to be better than the other team the next day. It just seems to me to be a difficult thing to balance, to not have the pressure become pressure. Dak always says pressure's a privilege, and I wonder if you can apply that to something like this.
Yeah, I know for me, at least to play in Dallas, I think there's always pressure is nothing new to the guys on our team, and it's something that we go through all year round. The off season, everyone's talking about us, the training camp, throughout the seasons, after wins, after losses. So I think pressure comes with the territory. And like Dak said, pressure's a privilege. I just think this year, not to say that we haven't had it in the past, but this locker room and this team, I think everyone is just locked in on what we need to do. And I think everyone sees what we're capable of, and when we're all firing all cylinders, how good we can be. So I don't think pressure is a negative for us. I think it brings out the best in our group. I think we have an extremely competitive team, and I think it really does bring out the best in us.
And does we've got a little less than a minute left, does 14, 16, 18, anything about this run right now feel similar or different from those three runs? I think this year, 14, it's been obviously some years here, but 16 was a pretty smooth year, if I remember. We won 11 games straight. We had a couple of close games. We were always kind of playing pretty consistently. I think this year, which is going to work in our favor, is we've had some tough moments. We've had some tough games that we've had to kind of overcome and win dirty late in the year. And so I think that's going to help us moving forward. That may be a little different this year. You're the best. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. By the way, Travis texted me back, says hi, says he misses the show. I don't believe him. Zack Martin, everybody. See you next week on the Cowboys Hour.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?